Today's lesson is on Standard 6.13, Examine lifelong responsibilities and the requirements of parenthood. We have quite a few objectives because two state standards are covered. First, the fetal development. The fetal development, the signs of pregnancy, signs of test to determine pregnancy, and looking at the requirements of parenthood. So I have to go over this fairly quickly because it is a lot of information. There's no way I can cover all of it, so there's definitely a lot in class. Now we looked at the effects of sex in children. Now we got to look at deeper what happens when you have children, when you're pregnant and beyond pregnancy. Think, what do I need to consider when making decisions pertaining to sexuality? Okay, so you have 3 trimesters. The first trimester goes weeks 1 through 13. Second trimester is weeks 14 through... Hold on a second. Second trimester is 14 through 23. The third trimester is weeks 24 through 40. Okay, weeks 1 or 2, you start, when you count the 40 weeks, it's interesting, you don't actually start counting at conception. You don't actually start counting at conception, you start counting at the beginning of the last period. I'm sure there's a good reason for that, but it's never been explained to me. Okay, in the first 2 weeks, you have the ovulation takes place between 11 and 21 days from the first day of the period. That's typically about 6 to 12 days after conception. The fertilized egg will embed into the uterine wall and begin growing. Week 3 is the gestational age. The embryo is growing through lots of basic growth, and there's development of the brain, spinal cord, heart, and gastrointestinal tract. Weeks 4 and 5, the arm and leg bugs become visible, and the heart has a steady beating. Week 6 is the formation of the lungs, jaw, nose, and palate. Week 7, they're looking more like a tiny body, and there's hair and nipple follicles. Week 8, the bones are beginning to form, and the muscles can contract. Weeks 9 through 13, the fetus has grown to about 3 inches and can weigh about an ounce. That's the end of the first trimester. The second trimester is the gestational age. The fetus skin is transparent, and the fetus has reached about 6 inches in length and weighs about 4 ounces. Weeks 17 through 20, the baby has reached a point where movements are being felt by the mother more often. Okay, the baby is going to begin growing throughout the end of the second trimester and then the beginning of the third trimester. If the baby was delivered at the beginning of the third trimester, it could survive with medical technology. As the baby grows throughout the third trimester, they gain weight and continue to grow. Okay. The first month, the baby is about 1/4 of an inch long. The heart, digestive system, backbone, and spinal cord begin to form. The placenta develops. Month 2, heart is functioning, and the eyes, nose, lips, tongue, ears, and penis are even developed. Month 3, the nails start to develop, and the arms, hands, fingers, legs, and feet are fully formed. By the end of 4 months, the tooth buds are developed. You're about 7 inches long, and the gender is identifiable very clearly. By the end of month 5, the baby is 8 to 10 inches long, and internal organs are maturing. Take a break for just a second here. This is the last thing I got to do on the iBook, and it's been a crazy last several days. There's a lot of details where this is different, so read over it. Sorry to interrupt. And by the end of month 6, the baby is 11 to 14 inches long, and the eyelids begin to part, and the eyes open sometimes for short periods of time. By month 7, the fat layers are forming. You're about 14 to 16 inches long, and the skin is wrinkled and red, so it's a lot less clear. And also at month 7, if born at this time, the baby will be considered premature, but will probably survive. By month 8, the weight is about 4 to 6 pounds, and the movements or kicks are strong enough to be visible from the outside. And by month 9, the weight is about 7 to 7.5 pounds, the lungs are mature, the skin is pink and smooth, and the baby settles down lower.
Mr. Mouse, I just found that these 2 discs have been out for a while.
I'm recording. Okay, looking at pregnancy symptoms, the first is the woman will have spotting and cramping. Now, none of these mean that they're necessarily pregnant, but they're all an indication of pregnancy. The next is breast changes. They will become tender. The third is fatigue. Fourth is nausea, morning sickness, where the mother is throwing up. This is most common in the first trimester. And the next one, and the most commonly known one, is the missed period. Typically at the missed period is when they start getting a pregnancy test. Looking at pregnancy tests, there are uterine tests where you urinate on a stick, and that's the diagram you see on, or the picture you see on the right. Then typically when that proves true, or if the mother is just convinced they are pregnant, they will take a blood test, and at the blood test, that's when they can say for sure if the mother is pregnant or not. It is possible that they are too early in and it's just been a few days after conception and they don't know yet, so you might have to test again in a few days. Now, accuracy is an issue. The tests have become more reliable in the last several years, but it's very important that you follow the directions closely. And as I said, it could be too close to conception from when it is formed, and it might tell you you are not pregnant when you are actually pregnant. You just have to wait a few more days. Okay, you can get the urine test over the counter for free. Not for free. Actually, I think you might be able to get them for free in health departments, but you can get them over the counter. You do not need a prescription, but when you go to the physician, they'll do the blood test. You cannot do the blood test at home. All right, once you're in the physician's office, they'll do an HCG test. Okay, I know I've went over this very quickly, so as always, make sure you read the book and ask any questions.